I'm live in Frisco, Colorado, right along I-70 as some rain is starting to come down from monsoon storms, and that seems to be fueling the pyrocumulonimbus cloud here a bit of the Williams Fork fire that is over 6,000 acres, even approaching 7,000 acres burned right now. This is really close to the Continental Divide, and this fire here has been responsible for sending smoke downwind to the Front Range of Colorado, impacting air quality in Denver areas all along the Front Range, including I-25 corridor. But this fire looks to be getting bigger. There was some talk about evacuating the Fraser area. This storm is just to the west of Winter Park as well. There's a lot of rugged terrain out there, a lot of beetle kill that is preventing firefighters from really starting to contain this fire. It is about 3% contained as of this morning, but you can see the pyrocumulus cloud above. This is a heat source down below, and there's a lot of rising motion above it, and you infuse a little bit of moisture as well, and that helps to create these pyrocumulus clouds. Sometimes these pyrocumulonimbus can even produce fire tornadoes, as we had the first ever tornado warning issued for a pyroQ in California just a few days ago off the Loyalton fire. This storm is capable of generating those firenadoes. No reports yet of that, but this pyrocumulonimbus cloud is certainly growing. You can see that the thunderstorm outflow is beginning to interact with this fire, potentially energizing it a bit. So I wouldn't be surprised to see this fire expand a bit tonight and send more smoke downstream to the I-25 corridor as well. But it's these high base storms that we're really concerned about for these wildfires today, especially those on the western slope. It is so dry below cloud base that there is intense outflow and evaporation, and those strong winds can act to fan the flames and even enhance the spreading of these wildfires and make the hard efforts of the firefighters even that much more difficult. Glenwood Canyon here, and this is a no-name region pretty close to where the fire initiated, and these helicopters are picking up fire retardant and water and hammering those hot spots. There's a hot spot just on the eastern side of the canyon right along I-70. That's the area that they're working right now, but here along No Name, they're really trying to make sure that this line is held. That's why they're putting a lot of fire retardant, a lot of water on the flames. You can definitely see right through there. This is where the water supply comes into Glenwood Canyon. Those flames up there are really burning, and there was a big concern early on that this line on the western side was not going to be able to hold, and if that happened, it would race all the way down to Grand Junction, just be an absolute disaster. So firefighters are working very hard out here to keep these lines contained. We are inside the perimeter of the Grizzly Creek fire right now, and we have got round after round of helicopters. Here you can see that one heading off to the eastern side of this fire. That's the hot spot that we passed heading in right along I-70. You can also see some storms beginning to develop too. These are some higher based monsoon storms when there is some concern of damaging outflow produced by these storms that can help fan these flames and possibly lead to further expansion of this fire. It did expand about 700 acres overnight last night. That's a lot less than the Pine Gulch fire expanded. That one went up to over 125,000 acres and became the #2 largest fire in Colorado state history. These firefighters are working extremely hard to keep the Grizzly Creek fire contained at about 28,000 acres burnt. This is a very beautiful area. Much greater risks also continue here with these high base storms. Some rock slides, debris flows are very much possible off this burn scar. Here you can see another helicopter coming in to refuel. This is inside the perimeter of the Grizzly Creek fire, and they are working hard with this aerial assault to keep those hot spots under control on the east side of the canyon. We passed a couple of those coming in, and here you can see these helicopters, heroes of the air, coming in and picking up that water and fire retardant and dumping it on those hot spots. There's another one a little bit further north of I-70 as that continues to burn. And we're on the very western perimeter of this fire. This is where it initially started and then spread off to the northeast from here. But so far, they've been able to contain this western boundary of the fire here in No Name region. And a lot of that is because of these helicopters that are dumping that water and fire retardant on these hot spots.
They loved it.
Okay.
And by the way, there's about 80 homes in here, and they under evacuation, so folks are not in their properties right now. We are in the No Name area here along Interstate 70. The fire currently is burning in No Name Canyon to the north of us. It was pretty active over the last 3 or 4 days and pretty much has burned the fuels that are on this east side of the canyon. With the help of the helicopters and retardant drops, they've been able to hold the fire in the canyon on the east side. Our priority is not to allow that fire to jump the canyon, get established on the west side, which would allow it to potentially run into Grand Junction. And that's one of our priorities, is not to have that occur. So we put a lot of firefighting effort into holding it here in No Name Canyon, to the east of the drainage.
I'm live at the Hanging Lake area. This is the pull-off, or the trailhead, to head up above that canyon there, and at the top of that plateau is where Hanging Lake is located. That's a very famous tourist attraction. There's been some rumors that it was completely destroyed by the Grizzly Creek fire here just to the west of me. That's Glenwood Springs. I'm inside Glenwood Canyon within the fire perimeter right now. Grizzly Creek fire is burning over 28,000 acres. It grew another 700 acres overnight. Thankfully, the fire is a little bit less active here right along the I-70 corridor, but there is an incredible concern today for monsoon thunderstorms with very high bases, producing some dramatic outflow winds. The precipitation also could lead to more rock flows and some debris flows off of the burn scar here of the Grizzly Creek fire. You can see some smoldering hot spots as well up at the lip of the canyon. Up there, several hot spots in Glenwood Canyon here. So if one of these storms fires up and produces some very strong outflow winds, it very easily could fan those flames and lead to further expansion of that fire. So there's a lot of concerns here along I-70 and Glenwood Canyon, and that's why the interstate remains closed indefinitely from mile marker 116 through 140 at Gypsum. And the Pine Gulch fire further west is now the second largest in Colorado state history. An aerial assault has been initiated today, dropping fire retardant on that fire to try to control that explosive growth. But weather is definitely not helping with very dry, hot conditions and the development of these high base monsoonal storms here across Glenwood Canyon. Here you can see some burn areas as well in Hanging Lake. There are some trees with the root systems extremely weakened by the burning, and that's created these to be very weak. They could easily fall and also become extreme safety hazards. So a lot of danger in here, especially within the fire perimeter. And again, that's why I-70 is going to be closed for some time, and still further expansion of these fires is anticipated over the coming days.